do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman pikin, they the street, they hawk. Still them talk, say, make we no talk. But thank God, say, Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout. Oh, yo, yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun the command of the masses. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun diary politico. Oh, yo, yo. Mayegun don't come. Oh, yo, yo. This man not. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Mayegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Hello there.
Lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Bó bá ṣe àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun diary, ó sì tún ṣe wàá gbọ́.
First one is the female Tinubu. The second one is the Ojo Pagogo Tinubu that one of these Agbadorians abroad was telling that, please, my president, commodify Naira by using cassava gari ewa.
Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me. Share this broadcast. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends and tell them Mayegun today.
Àní ẹ̀sùn láti Mayegun today. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun today. Àní ẹ̀sùn láti Mayegun today. Lórí YouTube. Mayegun today. Àní ẹ̀sùn láti Mayegun today. Ọba bá gbé wúrẹ́. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn láti.
Read the caption of this broadcast. Read the description as well. Share the broadcast. Digest the whole thing, then like the broadcast, which is your own offering to show that you are here. Like the broadcast. Olu has refused to return back to Nigeria after the disgraceful outing in New York. UNGA, United Nations General Assembly meeting. Olu has disappeared from radar since then. He's been in France.
Suraki, Mayegun today. Àní Suraki, Mayegun today. Mayegun today.
Mo ti dé o. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. And thank you for joining us in the temple tonight, or depends on the time. I hope you have kind of taken your time to read to read the caption of the broadcast, the description as well. It does help, okay? Usually, that's what you should do first. It will bring you in tune into wherever the conversation is. And if you have done that already, thank you. So let's start from the top. Naira has officially crossed the red line and is on his way to 2,000 naira to $1. Even though they told you, I mean, I remember this, just some flashback, okay? When Kolu was asked about his idea, he said this.
I don't want to sit here and reveal all my strategy. I am the first speaker among the three of us running. So they will spy on me. So you will have a limited answer here today. Another day you can bring me back. But that's part of what I do.
Nuisance Lele. Nuisance Lele.
And that was exactly what I said. That was during the election. Then at a point he told them, he said, he will need to take some baby steps. Baby steps in the face of economic ruin, economic doom that is facing Nigerians. He said this, remember that?
Will we arrive at the destination? A positive destination.
It was after the election, by the way. Now that turned to baby step again.
Will we arrive at the destination? A positive destination for this country. And it's all in our hands to make history. And I promise that, by the grace of God Almighty, we shall reap the fruit of our labor. Nigeria will see positive changes as we move along. Just go through these baby steps of pain. Baby step of pain. Me too, I'm taking baby steps as the president. Not marching in a hurry.
Nuisance Lele. Nuisance Lele.
Always. And do you know those we call the Lagos Abobakus? The sewage dwellers. Those who have probably never worked any real job in their lives. Those who have never run any real business in their lives. But they are the Agbadomaiti, the Agbadoriansi, jobless layabouts, unemployable miscreants on social media. Every time Tinubu is being defended on social media, 80% of those who are doing so are hanging inside this kind of rooms. They are this kind of picture you have on your screen. So sometimes when those of you who have real businesses, those of you who have real jobs, when you are complaining about the failure of government and you are so pained and angry, when you see these ones these are the kind of people who will tell you, Nigeria will favor me, Tinubu's government will favor my family. These are the rogues who are always the beggars on social media. They will be typing amen when politicians are using God to cover their failure. I'm coming back to that picture. If you see them in the comment section, don't waste your time. They are mostly on Facebook, okay? Those kind of people, they are mostly on Facebook, suffering and smiling, suffer ahead, okay? Sometimes you call them the Dabi Moshedas, okay? They are people who feels like, whatever misfortune that is upon them, everybody deserves the same. And if the government is doing exactly that, why do you have to complain? Why don't you want to be poor? So let that picture remain in that your own subconscious mind. Every time you are replying some lunatics on social media, remember that they are the lowest of the low, okay? And you shouldn't, if you don't want to, if you don't want to kind of find yourself in that state of a mental problem, right? Do not engage them. And that is what they say. Do not engage people like that who are already in the ruffle. They are already the sewage dwellers. Courtesy, the government and criminals that they would love to defend all the time. Now, if you therefore try to go and explain to them, like, let me explain to you, I'm trying to explain, don't try to, okay? They will drag you to their level and they will beat you with experience because they have been there. Sewage dwellers, Lagos Abobakus, Oshogbo Alimajiris, the humbled slaves, sophisticated demorons, the Buhari Dins, Buhari Deterins, the Buhari Denotus, the Buhari Dijatus, the Buhari Shukus, the Ungo Ziaris, You have those ones who are also the crumb eaters, crumb chasers, ass lickers, all risers. Then they also have uncles and aunties abroad. So when you come across these people, especially those ones who are mostly trying to hide behind political correctness, things like, unity beggars, people who always kind of try to gaslight you in their own defense of the criminals who have no idea how to get you out of the mess that Nigeria is in, right? The Nigerian Naira further crashes, and the strategy of Tinubu will further impoverish many of you. It will destroy your businesses. And there is no amount of, it will not be me in Jesus' name will save you. We are talking about economic saboteurs who have no idea or enough of the consequences of what they are pushing. The entire system has been captured. And all of you watching me right now, you will be the living witnesses when the whole thing begins to unfold. It is no longer about wishes. Remember what they say about wishes? They say if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. You know what I mean? But wishes are not horses. Good governance are not wishes, okay? I mean, responsible government and responsive government is not by wishes. It's not by prayers. Do you understand? Because it is by what? It is by doing, by acting. That is why I did say sometimes ago, I said, unity is not just a word. You don't just talk about patriotism, unity, and all those things in the face of injustice, inequality, impunity, state-sponsored, institutionalized impunity. You don't turn around and begin to talk about unity in the face of all of this, right? Now that we have kind of have the idea, the framework of their strategy. The framework of their strategy is to push the rest of you who are still struggling and trying to stay afloat to further dip you in poverty and misery. And you don't need to believe me. You will be a testimony to that. You know what they say generally? May Nigeria not happen to me. May Nigeria not happen to you. A lot of you have no idea that Nigeria happens to you every day. Every day. And you see these rogues, the road to Damascus, as some will say, the road to Armageddon, the road that is constructed through the financial rascality, irresponsibility, corruption, and mismanagement of APC, Egbekegbe, the Alakori People's Congress. They charted this lane of this poverty from the start. And the rascality that led to that is exactly what Tinubu is replicating. And there is no amount of PR. Listen to me. There is no amount of PR that is going to add value to that your Naira in that your pocket when nothing is being done, because nothing will be done. You know why? For these guys, they know about these problems, of course, right? But to them, they created the problems for the purpose of benefiting from it. So expecting them to fix it is pretty much like expecting the rock to suddenly produce an ocean of water, a rock. So Nigeria Naira was, they said they were floating it, floated Nigeria Naira, which then gave it up for slaughtering by anyone who could. The investment in the real sector, the economy, the real investment in the sectors that could actually keep jobs, okay, and keep the economy running, they are not investing in them. They are opening a special door all the time in a way to what? To take away the resources that they actually told you was scarce. So your Naira has crossed the line, and there is no amount of lies, propaganda, that is going to save the Naira, because they are doing exactly the same thing. They have crashed it in the first place, lying, hiding the truth. But you can't hide the truth when it comes to the economy. Okay, they were lying about inflation. They were lying about their what do you call it? They are lying about employment. They are lying almost about everything, which simply puts that they have no intention of what? Of fixing any problem. And you remember when Kolu said back then, or during their campaign, now statistics will go shop. Remember that time?
I think na statistic we go chop. I think na statistic we go chop.
Chop that statistics, okay? Because the statistics simply means that the value of the Naira in your pocket has further been depreciated. Now let us put this into a context here, okay? In 2015, the value of a Naira, of a Naira to a dollar, right, was at 145 Naira. If you go through the central bank, and the dollars was available for everyone, right? Then the black market, which is the BDC, the Bureau de Change, right? You will exchange a dollar for 190 Naira to a dollar in 2015. Now you see this yardstick, or this exchange rate, and the availability of that dollars, is what those who are running your economy, real businessmen, do, because Nigeria economy is import dependent, which means more than 90% of Nigeria economy exists based on importation of almost everything, including importation of refined crude oil products. So for you to continue to manage whatever the what they call it, the market force, the demand and supply, and the availability of all those things, and ensuring that those things are available, if you continue to build your economy based on importation. So when people bring things into Nigeria, when they bring in large vessels, cargo planes, and all those containers to Nigeria, they all leave Nigeria empty-handed, which means Nigeria is always ready to hand over huge chunk of forex to different countries in order to have all their finished goods brought to Nigeria. So this was where the problem started. When Boko Haram and gang came, the Central Bank of Nigeria could no longer give those dollars to the business people anymore, because the politicians needed the dollars. Then at the same time, under this same Boko Haram, they opened a back channel called round tripping. Round tripping then simply means the banks could no longer get adequate forex supply from the Central Bank of Nigeria. They could only go through people who are now the middlemen, taking the dollars from the Central Bank and then adding their own interest before they give them to the business people. And within the space of 8 years, Nigeria Naira lost over 800% of its value. 800%. But when they want to say, they will say, oh, it's only a quarter of its a quarter of its value that it lost. You see, while they were doing all of that, normally, remember I said, when people bring things to Nigeria, they almost all left empty-handed, empty cargoes. That means they are not buying anything from Nigeria, that they have to also give you back dollars, give you back their own money, okay? Or in order to buy, you go to their country, right? Before you buy things from them, you exchange your Naira to their currency, mostly dollars, okay? Your Naira. So they will have to buy the dollar, it has to be, it will be based on the availability and how much the person who owns the dollar want to sell it to you. So in your own business, right? Before you can trade with other people, you have to use your Naira to buy their currency. But when they bring their stuff to Nigeria and they are not living with anything, they are not taking anything from Nigeria, agricultural produce, or finished stuff, so that they too can exchange their own money, bring their own money, dollars, and buy Naira. That is what is called trade between countries. This is what you call trade growth. Nigeria is a big for nothing country that these criminals have made Nigeria. It has become the dumping ground for all type of businesses from all over the world, including toxic waste deals. Go and dump it in Nigeria. But you won't take anything back. So after creating this back-end round tripping, whereby to access the dollar became the first battle you have to fight. And at the same time, between the time your goods arrive and whatever it is, the balance, the exchange rate, which was so fluctuative at the time, and so many businesses actually died because of this. But guess those who actually became multi-billionaires? Bokuwari's family members, political associates, political appointees, senators, they all got their own different slots from that central bank. And from 145 Naira to $1, it jumped straight to over 800 Naira to $1. And all of that time, they were all talking. Bokuwari was talking. Emefiole was talking. The rest of them were defending. Tinubu was there. Pastor Ruga was there. The rest of them were kind of bullying Nigerians that they were those who were stupid, who didn't understand economics, the Buharinomics, which eventually impoverished over 145 million Nigerians. Also turned Nigeria to the poverty capital of the world. People are suffering and they are poor, courtesy of these guys. Because when you now hold that Naira, you realize that what you could buy with 100 Naira, since the value has crashed, your 100 Naira has become 25 Naira. So, which means if you used to buy this lip balm for 100 Naira, with the economic ruin and destruction, it will now cost 400 Naira. To make the matter worse, they then went on borrowing spree. The rest of Nigeria started on a sorrowing journey. And that's why we said from change, to next devil or next evil. The end goal is what you have, the bankrupted Nigeria of today. The source of the only single source that is constant and regular to give Nigeria forex, Nigeria crude oil, that also came under the attack of these criminals. For straight 8 years, Nigeria was losing over 21 million barrels of crude oil to oil thieves. That is not all. The leftover by the thieves for the rest of Nigeria, the Bokuwari's government, they created another bottomless hole of corruption called subsidy. Suddenly, the country that was using 13 million liters of petrol every day, based on the vehicles available and the machineries available in the country, under these rogues, that same country that was paying 200 billion naira on subsidy, suddenly started paying 4 trillion naira. Trillion, how many? Do you know how many 200 billion you are going to see in 1 trillion? 5. Now, if you now have 5 times 4, 20, which means you have suddenly these criminals. The petrol usage in Nigeria suddenly jumped from 13 million liters a day to over 100 million liters a day. Nobody knows who they were paying the money to. trillions and trillions and trillions were paid, and which is billions and billions and billions of dollars were paid into the hands of faceless criminals who were actually your politicians who have faces. That was the journey that brought Nigeria here. They started borrowing. Nigeria could borrow anything. In fact, Nigeria has not reached the ceiling of the borrowing. They continue to tell the people that, they were working on refineries. What is taking the most of Nigeria money was the subsidy. We are refining, we are repairing the refineries. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 solid years. When these criminals came, the Nigeria refinery, maybe that was why the subsidy payment at the time was not as ridiculous as you have it now, right? Because at the time, 200, what do you call it? Like I said, 200 billion for 13 million cars, or should I say machineries, like I put earlier, right? So these roads, suddenly 4 trillion, 3 trillion, 2 trillion, and the source of the money from the crude sale suddenly was no longer available, and at the same time it was no longer a problem. The country that was in shock when they were told that 20 billion US dollars was missing because NNPC didn't remit money into the central bank account as it should under Sanusi. Remember, that was during the Goodluck Egbere Jolantan's time. Suddenly they didn't bother anymore because they didn't even have a clue how much crude oil is Nigeria producing, how much is being sold, and how much is being collected. Nobody even had a clue anymore. For 8 solid years, they bankrupted Nigeria. And here is Kolu. Emefiole is in jail. Bokwari is walking free, receiving visitors, and they are calling him a distinguished man or whatever in their circle. Bawa of EFCC is in jail right now. Gandola, the man caught on tape, pocketing dollars in his Babariga, is the chairman of the ruling party in Nigeria with police protection, security guard, and authority as well. And that is Nigeria. So today, after 3 months or nearly 4 months of Tinubu, the Jaga Wiri, Jaga Banditi, the Jaga Addict, Mr. Strategy, ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian Naira has taken further hit. And this time around, it is for the worse. Yes, officially, this is already in place for the past 2 days. But people are beginning to kind of now see it officially that to exchange the Naira to a dollar, then you will need 1,010 Naira, 1,011 Naira for just single dollar. Okay? So it is also giving the vibe of the plot that we had a while back, that Tinubu and his gang, their plan is to introduce new Nairas. You see, these new Nairas, by the time things get so bad and worse, the inflation is now choking all of you. They can't hide it anymore. You can't pretend about it anymore, right? So you begin to have 5,000 Naira notes, 10,000 Naira notes, 20,000 Naira notes, 50,000 Naira notes. And the long plan is actually to decimate Nigeria Naira, which is something like this, okay? 1,000 Naira will become maybe 100 Naira or 10 Naira. It's not going to change value. It's still the same one, but they will print new money. So you won't have, instead of having 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, and 50,000 Naira notes, paper notes. So they will just cut all the zero, like Ghana did. Ghana is bankrupt now. Okay? I mean, even as bankrupt as Ghana is, a lot of you will still be like, Ghana is better than Nigeria and the rest. But again, economically, I wouldn't know which one is worse. Not better. Don't use better. I wouldn't know which one is worse right now. But for Nigerians who have been to Ghana, they will tell you Ghana is better. Okay, fine. So Kalu, who went to America, and he told all of you, he told you a lie. The first lie they told you was that subsidy was gone when it wasn't. They were re-strategizing. I told you subsidy was going nowhere. It is a free cash that these criminals have devised means to hold Nigeria and Nigerians to ransom. It is like a ransom that Nigerians are paying to them. Subsidy that you see. Okay? You will never see anywhere in the world, all right, where you are oil producer and you are spending over 100% of your earnings from your crude oil sale on subsidy of that refined crude oil for 24 years of democracy. And you could come out and say, well, our problem is because we couldn't fix our refineries. Nigeria couldn't fix refineries because they don't want to fix any refineries. It is lucrative. It is easier. And at the same time, they can hold the millions of Nigerians to ransom for it, like they are doing right now. So Tinubu was strategizing what he's going to call his own subsidy and how much it's going to start with and how is he going to grow into a monster like that of a Bokwari, or is he going to just build on the monster that Bokwari already birthed and then give it a different name, a coloration, and continue to deceive you. Meanwhile, your everyday life, everyday activity, the cost of living, you are feeling the heat, you are feeling the brunt, and you are wondering, why? Abi? So I knew subsidy wasn't going anywhere. It's a free cash. Okay? And the criminals who have been taking it, all they needed is just to put his own guys there, and they will start taking the money again. And that's exactly what they did. Now I am reading that they are saying they didn't borrow. I mean, sorry, they are still waiting for the 3 billion from the Afrexim Bank. Remember, they took that money in July because that process was already ongoing under Bokwari. That guy that is in charge of the sold NNPC of Nigeria, Kyari, they've already put that in process before Tinubu came in. So when Tinubu came in, they decided to present it as the money they were taking to stabilize the Naira. Meanwhile, they took it to give it to their friends for subsidy so that you can continue to buy fuel at 600 Naira, 700 Naira per liter. But they came out just a few hours ago and they said, Afrexim Bank is still looking for the dollar, the cash. Something that the chairman had been the president of the Afrexim Bank, Africa Export and Import Bank. That's the full meaning of Afrexim. Africa is Exi is what do you call it? X is export. Im is import. So X im. Export, import, Africa. The guy traveled to Nigeria, took pictures with that Kyari, where they signed all the papers to say Nigeria was going to give this bank some crude oil after collecting the $3 billion. And they celebrated that. They said it was Tinubu's strategy to stabilize Naira. I came here and I told you it wasn't. It is a temporary step to feed the gluttonous criminals who are the members of APC. The people where they eat cash. You don't see them. And that's exactly what happened. Now they are coming out to say, no, we haven't taken the cash. The bank is still looking for the money for us. The other lie they told you was that Tinubu assembled a team, and that team, they are going to now declare some policy on the Naira, and they are going to peg the Naira to dollar at so. Remember them? And Tinubu was going to inject $10 billion into the economy so that the issue of Naira, dollar, this blah, blah, blah will crash. And they even announced that if you needed dollar, go to your bank. You remember that time? This was just about 2 months ago. It was all lies. There is no $10 billion anywhere. Okay? And the people that stole the money, they have kept one of them, Emefiole. The guy that actually supervised the stealing, the looting, the mortgaging of your lives and your future and that of your children. Bokwari Mumumadu is in Daura, and is living large, while the rest of you are scampering for whatever crumb you can find in the sand. It doesn't matter if it's a food mixed with sand. Hungry man is an angry man. Beggars have no choice. Those are the terms they say, like what they have now subjected Nigerians to. Bokwari is there. Aisha, Ashishe Bokwari, the Aisha, the one that became, that became ballooned. That they said, if you are looking for all Nigeria money, where did Nigeria money go to? She's the example of one of those gluttonous, aimless chancers. There are many, I'm just kind of remembering them. They were all now cooling off wherever they are. And they were laughing at the rest of you morons who are answering, what do you call it, Tifnumbu, that you are taking baby step of pain. Is this baby step of pain? Is this the baby step of pain? That is this like baby step? This shege you are going through right now, is that baby step? Right. Naira ti fori champon. And the journey to it finally fori champon is at a full throttle. Remember that. How did I know that? Well, there is a new guy called Cardoso. You see, this Cardoso happened to be one of Tifnumbu's bagmen in Lagos. Okay? And from my own experience, a rotten system and a criminal like Tifnumbu, career criminal like Tifnumbu, can never, ever, ever in this world that we are produce anybody, any good thing that is coming to benefit you. You will be so stupid. It's either you have always been stupid, okay? Or somehow they've gotten to you. And your stupidity is just manifesting. That is when you will believe that somebody come around and speak good English. Somebody come around and tell you and presented this impressive CV. And then they are telling you that they have an association. They have a business association. They have a political association with Tifnumbu. And then you ignore that. And you are telling yourself, I trust this kiniko. It is either you are born stupid, you inherited stupidity, or you actually contracted stupidity in a way that you didn't know. They are just manifesting. The Cardoso guy don't come out. Another bulaba, balabulu, all talks, no action. Criminals criminals will never do anything right. You will be a born fool to see anybody associated with Tifnumbu. And you think they represent anything good. I mean, this is not even like because I don't like them or whatever. No. Your naivety is so many of you. It is your naivety, your ignorance, as well as your stupidity that has been given these people the all-needed lifeline to succeed in their criminal careers. Look around you. Go out there and touch the grass. Tifnumbu and anything good show stupidity. Why muteshembiri? Isn't it obvious? Now, the Cardoso don't come out. Guess what he had to say? He's now the central bank governor. Under Emefiole, Central Bank of Nigeria became lenders to people, to political party. Central Bank of Nigeria became farmer. Central Bank of Nigeria became trader. In the process, Central Bank of Nigeria helped Nigeria to lose over 10 trillion naira worth of indebtedness. Because the Central Bank of Nigeria became the piggy bank of Bokwari and APC. Egbekegbe. And the result of that is what? The crashed economy. Cardoso don't come. And according to him, he's going to reverse all of the monetary policies of his predecessor. Emefiole couldn't be sacked. Emefiole couldn't be forced to resign. Emefiole got kidnapped by the Daura Secret Service, which has now changed to Dokpemu Stupid Service. They picked up the governor of Central Bank, locked him up, then appointed the replacement in acting capacity, and up to this moment, it was Akuri Nigalailai that told Nigeria media that Emefiole had resigned. No one has seen Emefiole's resignation letter. Illegality upon illegality. Now the Cardoso is here. The Wiri is now talking about increasing Nigeria GDP. That is not the job of Central Bank of Nigeria. Yours is monetary policy. The economists and the economy and those who are making economic policies are those that are going to help increase Nigeria GDP. When Nigeria have 24 hours electricity, when Nigeria have security, when Nigeria have infrastructures like roads, right? Like water and healthcare. When the economy can create job, the GDP of Nigeria will grow. And it is the Central Bank of Nigeria's job to ensure that Nigeria Naira and the policy around it are protective enough against the criminals, the politicians, who are always going to cut corners and demand for forex that would add no value just for their own luxury. Ashishe Bokwari lived in Dubai since 2020. That is since when Aisha Bokwari has been living in Dubai. In Dubai, Nigeria is funding that. Ashishe Bokwari has no job. Our children have no job. Bokwari has no job. You see, when people say they are politicians, when you are not in politics, you either go into teaching, still doing something, service, or you write books, or you begin to give lectures, speeches all over the place, and you get paid, or you write books. Bokwari, the lifeless Megad, he was removed by Babangida in 1985 when Nigeria first experienced the first bankruptcy, when people were queuing in Nigeria to buy Omo, washing powder, to buy sugar, to buy things, essential commodity, because they were so scarce. And the soldiers will be here wherever they were available, right? The soldiers will be here with their whip in their hands, right? And the guns on their own shoulder, and they are monitoring the behaviors of Nigerians. And around that time, they called it kick against indiscipline. Nigerians had no discipline. The criminals who took power, the first military to take over power from the civilian government in Nigeria, Bokwari wrecked Nigeria, but they were brandishing. Nigeria no get discipline. Nigeria deserve discipline. Nigerians must be disciplined. Nigerians don't have discipline. That was the sing song at the time, while the economy was taking a serious downturn. In 1985, Babangida came up, removed Bokwari. Instead of Bokwari to go back and do something with his life, he did nothing. He divorced his first wife for betrayal, married Ashishe Bokwari, 16-year-old young girl. And, well, as a general coming back from jail after 30 or 24 months or 18 months, how many months did Babangida lock him up for? Then he came out from that jail in 1988, I think. Then married Ashishe Bokwari. Then gave all of that. Then they said he had 150 cows. I don't know how he got that. But as a former head of, where they said he had 450 cows. He had no school certificate. He had no education. He had nothing. Okay? So he had nothing to fall back on. He had nothing to offer the society. He suddenly just disappeared into oblivion. Sure you get? So in 1993, when Babangida handed over to Shonekan, and Ernest Shonekan, after a few months, got overthrown by Abacha. Then in 1994, this Bokwari Mumumadu came up again. And guess what? Just like it's always been all over all through his life, he never really worked for anything, okay? It's always been the responsibility of any government that is in place in Nigeria. It's always been like that. Nothing to offer. Nothing like, oh, let me go back to school and now that I was head of state without education, maybe now I should go back to school and offer something. Oh, let me go back to farming and at least do something with my life. 150 cows in 1988. By 1994, still 150 cows. He was made the chairman of PTF, Petroleum Trust Fund, by Abacha. And Bokwari started what he couldn't do probably at the time before Babangida removed him. It was a fleece. When they were talking about Abacha loot, this criminal Bokwari is a different story. However, this Bokwari came back 30 years later. 30 years later, 2015, after he was removed, they made him the president of Nigeria. And guess what? 1985, 150 cows. 1995, 150 cows. 2005, 150 cows. 2015, 150 cows. 2023, 10,000 cows, according to Garbage Shehu, is a former spokesman at Bincon. So, now fast forward to when you now have the Kolu and his gang, who are still pretty much, like I said, though, Nigeria, that is the Central Bank of Nigeria that was feeding Bokwari and his family with enough dollars that had no value to Nigeria, just like Bokwari had no value, no real value, all his life. But with a good PR and the Stockholm Syndrome on Nigerians, the rest was just going to be vibes and inshallah, which has led to where you are today. So, Cardoso is already shutting the same the same shattered water that led Nigeria to where you are. So I can tell you this for free. Brace up. It is going to be so jiggy. And the shaking, the shaggy, I hope it won't take your life, because I wanted to say that it could take your life.
I stand for you. You cannot harvest corn the day this maize is planted.
Nuisance, Lele.
You understand? A man that cannot put his thought really together is a dunce, but he's the president of Nigeria. So in this state of confusion, total confusion, Tinubu was in New York, and there was no world president or any world leaders meeting him. That was a lie. You found that, Abi? And there was no CEO of any company coming to invest in Nigeria. You saw that too, didn't you? The Mr. Strategy then got ambushed by one of those Agbadorians living abroad. And this actually happened.
My president, commodification of the Naira. Commodification of the Naira. This is Ayode Jubakari Bongoli. My president, Your Excellency, commodification of the Naira.
Yes.
Commodification of the Naira, monetary policy. Commodification of the Naira, cassava. Use cassava. 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 Commodification of the Naira for monetary policy. My president, commodification of the Naira. Commodification of the Naira. This is Ayode Jubakari Bongoli. My president, Your Excellency, commodification of the Naira.
Yes.
Commodification of the Naira, monetary policy. Commodification of the Naira, cassava.
And we are competing with armed robbers and the bandits to recruit from the youths who are unemployed. 33% unemployed. Recruit 50 million